There's another piece, and like I said, these are all to do with pieces you need to understand. Another piece that just comes to my mind is the prophecy concerning, there's two women in the Bible, two main women in the Bible. One is the whore of Babylon, and one is the woman who is Israel. The whore of Babylon could be, say, represented by the Roman Catholic Church, which was the church that basically killed a lot of the real Christian people, those who wouldn't convert. It was conversion by the sword. Now, there's this ignorance about, there's a lot of false Christianity, and people get totally the wrong idea. They don't even ascribe the difference between the Protestants and the Catholics because they're that ignorant. But unless you understand this in detail, you won't understand anything that is about to occur. The same thing as the understanding of where Islam fits in the Bible. People say it's not in there, but it is. Islam is in the Bible in the sense of you've got to understand what happened with Abraham. You've got to understand that with Abraham and Hagar conceived a child because Sarah couldn't conceive a child, so they had the slave girl have the baby with them, which resulted in Ishmael. But Ishmael was like a thorn in the side, always threatening Isaac. So obviously they get rid of him as soon as they can. He goes away. But unless you understand this kind of like antagonism between Ishmael, Isaac, but at the same time as Esau and Jacob. Esau went out of the family to marry with other women outside the tribe. So Esau was like, God said he hated Esau, basically. He tells you in Scripture he hated Esau. And Ishmael, he tells us what Ishmael is. He says that Ishmael is a donkey of a man whose hand is against everybody, in so many words. So obviously these two lines are against God. And now Ishmael and Esau represent Islam, because it tells us in the Bible that this future leader will know a God his fathers never knew. A God his fathers never... Well, Islam's only been on the block since about 600, AD. So it's relatively new. So a God his fathers never knew. This is where Islam fits in. Islam is like Esau and Ishmael coming back in the last days, because the curses are on God's people. So they are used as an instrument against God's people to punish them for their iniquity before the return of the Messiah. So, no surprise, everywhere we're seeing mosques built and the decline of Christian churches. This says everything to me about what's occurring now. So, these missing pieces in regard to all these things are taking place that are told in the Bible, but they just have to be unlocked, are now beginning to show their face to the point where it cannot be denied. And what does this all lead up to? What does it mean? To me, what it means is you're either on the right side or the wrong side, right? And in the end, you're talking about eternity, right? So it's like you have to make your choice sooner or later, because and the time that you make your choice is relatively small, it appears, because when the time of trouble comes, those who haven't been on the side of the king will be taken down. He's told us that when the time of trouble comes and you walk contrary to me, I will walk contrary to you, and I will punish you 7 times 7 with more 7 times curses stacked upon 7 times curses. And you will be taken into captivity. You will eat your firstborn, etc., etc., etc. He tells us it all, right? So, unless you take this seriously, right, when the time of trouble comes and you have not repented and you're not loyal to the Creator, then you will be taken down. You will be taken from, your wealth will be taken from you, your friends will be taken from you, everything will be taken from you. And this is basically what is about to happen. And even those who are protected, signed, because they are loyal, it's not going to be easy. But he says certain of his people will be marked. And the thing about the woman in the future, as opposed to the false woman who is like the Roman Catholic Vatican Church, or the Jesuits, is this woman in the future who is Israel, is basically a collection of saints who are protected and sheltered for the 3.5 years of the time of tribulation. But the rest of the saints are slaughtered. One assumes because they are the lukewarm saints, as opposed to those who are directly doing his work, doing the law, acting the law out. So this seems to be right on the fact that many people will be killed, but some will be protected, not in the pre-tribulation rapture, but they will be sheltered for a time of the tribulation. Because it tells us that the dragon sends a flood to the woman, but the flood is an ambiguous term for army. So the flood is really an army, because every time a flood or waters are used, it represents people. So the flood, which is an army, is sent from the dragon, but the earth swallows up the flood, and the remnant escape, those who are marked and sealed, while the rest are slaughtered. Then the dragon pursues the rest of them and slaughters the rest of the saints, but these other saints are protected. And you know, the inferring is that somehow part of Satan's army is destroyed, maybe by an earthquake or something, which is like a sign from God, because the time and the place is probably Moab. So if Moab futures, then when the people of Moab, who are the Edomites, who is Esau, see this occur, they will know that it will be a sign from God that they're on the wrong side, and they will shelter, it seems, these remnants, while the rest will be slaughtered by Satan, which is the time of the tribulation, right on the beginning of the tribulation.